What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers. We're back. Broncos games a little further in the rearview mirror. We're looking forward to London town, and it's a busy news week already, as there are some rumors that we've been talking about for a long time that are ramping up. Connor, how you doing? How you feeling? Congrats on the Mets. Big one upcoming.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you. Stressful but amazing season so far for the Mets. We'll see how it goes from here on out. And let's hope, the Jets can kind of take the baton here. I'm going to be honest with you. By my sports standards, strictly by mine, from Rangers to Mets, it's been a really, really good 2024. Not championship winning. I've never seen one in my lifetime, but really, really good. Good results so far. Results above expectations for both, I would say. And the Jets, right now at 2-2, they got some work to do. So let's see where this thing goes. But you're right, Joe. It's gotten a lot interesting on the day we have decided to record.
So Davante Adams has requested a trade. This moved very quickly. There was some Instagram shenanigans between him and Antonio Pierce. The writing's been on the wall with this one for a very long time. I don't think anyone is really surprised why we had to wait until the season started on all sides of this for this to happen is beyond me, because I was just saying this on Twitter. Say what you will, the Jets are 3-1 right now, easily, if Davante Adams is on the team, especially for those last two drives against the Broncos, or if he's somewhere else. It's the Raiders are cutting bait with him after 3 games, effectively, because he didn't play last week. We have kind of batted around for a while that the cost here is probably the 2 third-rounders that they have. We actually thought they acquired that extra third-rounder with this potential move in mind. Maybe it's a little more, maybe it's a little less. It's mid-round picks. I think nothing that's going to be prohibitive from a pick perspective. Money-wise, we've talked this through ad nauseum with Jason. They have the money to do it. Even though they lost last week, and even though we're all miserable, and this loss really stung. It's not just me. Like, I've talked to other Jets, everyone. Like, that loss hurt about as much as any losses I've seen, not counting Rodgers' injury in a long time. We got to shake it off. We got to move forward. It's week 4. The Jets are actually 5th in the AFC right now because the conference is so bad, and they would have been 2nd if Zerline could make a kick, or 10,000 other things would have happened.
Tie for the division.
Yes. Regardless, I still think they need Davante Adams, and we're going to use War Room this week to talk about Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. There was all this weird sentiment that they didn't coming out of the Pats game, and that's getting out over your skis because of one game. The Jets, they need a number 1 receiver right now. I do think Garrett Wilson can be a number 1 receiver at some point. Right now, he isn't. He's just not that guy yet. He's still really good. He's still really young. He's still going to be a 1,000-yard guy over and over again. But with the game on the line, he's not ready yet with Rodgers in particular. They are not in sync. And if all the defense is rolled to him, he's not ready to be a 1,500, 1,600-yard 10, 11, 12 touchdown guy yet. Now, maybe I eat my words, and I hope I do, and he has 4 touchdowns over the next 2 games, and that's what he is. But I'm going through the 3-year sample size. This team, if they could afford it, they probably have 30 to 35 games of Aaron Rodgers left at most. Go get Davante Adams. I do not care about ownership's money. I care about ending this playoff drought and shaking that shit out of the organization. It's important here that they get over that hump. They need him, so go get him. What is it going to take to get this done? And I know it's not that easy, and I know stuff doesn't move that quick, or maybe it is in some cases. What do you think of the situation, and what do you think happens next here?
Right. So we've been talking about this for a long time. If you just kind of put some logic to it, the Raiders weren't going to be very good this year. He doesn't fit their timeline. He knows that he's running out of time in terms of winning championships and production. It's a bad place for him. He got paid. It's just a divorce always made sense at some point for both sides. Because honestly, the Raiders have lost leverage. They should have moved him this summer. They obviously didn't give themselves a hard look in the mirror, because now you don't have much leverage. Here's how I view the whole thing. And this is me on the outside looking in. I would imagine Davante, as most players in this situation do, has a lot of control, right? You can't just trade Davante Adams to the Panthers, right? Like, it's just not how this kind of thing goes. So the player has a lot of control because he's at the point of his career where teams are going to respect that. So you have to narrow it down where it's only contenders involved. And the problem is the team besides the Jets that makes the most sense to me is the Kansas City Chiefs.
There's no way Mark Davis is trading.
I can't see it. No way. The Chiefs would have to pay a tax that would be very uncomfortable, I think. And I don't even know if the Raiders would listen. It might be one of those situations where they're just like, we're not going to listen. Sure, there's other teams that make sense. The Steelers really need a wide receiver. They were in on Ayuk. The Bills, who knows how they feel internally. Externally, it feels like while they're a really good team, they don't have a wide receiver to funnel the offense through at all. But we don't know how they feel. There's a lot of money at play here, although it's manageable. It's very manageable, especially with not much guarantees beyond this year. The way I view it, I view the Jets as the favorite. That's just me personally, because I think he would want to play with Rodgers again, which he's not hiding that. He's not hiding that at all. In the Badlands hierarchy structure for the Jets, remember, this show views Woody Johnson as the most powerful person in the New York Jets organization, Aaron Rodgers second, Joe Douglas third, maybe Robert Saleh fourth. And it feels like that dwindles each day. So I'm sure Aaron Rodgers wants Davante Adams, especially when he's screaming at guys on offense that just don't have a clue right now or aren't up to speed with him. So that's another variable. Once again, this is a situation that you can really just apply simple logic to. You don't have to be an insider or pretending to be an insider, or not even like, I'm not even saying it that way. I'm just saying that you can just apply logic to this and say, Davante wants to play with Rodgers again. Rodgers would love to have him here. The Jets clearly need a wide receiver like him that's on the same page. It's always made sense. And here's the thing we have to get out of the way. The Jets have already, because some people mockingly are like, yeah, like Jets, trade more picks and dig yourself deeper in the Rodgers hole. This is the bed the Jets made.
This is the hole. We're in the hole.
I don't understand. People just need to get their jokes off, and that's the internet world we live in, especially when you root for the Jets. The Jets, they missed on Zach Wilson. It's all gone. Like, we're not asset hoarding anymore. Okay, we're trying to win football games right now. And we're not talking about a first-round pick here. I want to make that abundantly clear. I don't think we're talking about a second-round pick here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I thought Joe Douglas did a pretty poor job for the actual trade for Rodgers in terms of leverage, so sometimes you're wrong. He's also made some trades where I think he's made out really well on the value side of things.
Yep.
So, with that being said, if we're talking about a third-round pick here and taking on some money, yeah, this is one that you got to get done if the Raiders are willing to move him to the Jets, which I don't know why the Raiders wouldn't. Now, what does the trade look like? Why it could be convoluted is, does Hassan Reddick need to get involved in this trade? I don't know why anybody in the world would trade for Hassan Reddick right now, but if somebody would do it, imagine it's the Raiders. That would be really funny to me, because I don't know why you would want to trade for Hassan Reddick knowing that what you have to pay him, and who knows if he's in shape. Who knows anything about that? This just seems logical. If I was a gambling man, the odds are in favor of the Jets landing Davante Adams.
It's exciting. And look, we can talk about it more if and when it happens.
It's a good thing.
Signal out. It's a good thing. You cannot convince me that their offense could not use him right now, especially with everything else going on. And as you said, we're in the Rodgers hole. You commit all the way to it. This is going to be a full breakdown and rebuild post this time anyway. And Adams could still play. So especially with Rodgers. Now,
you think the hamstring injury's as real as it seems?
I think he'll be okay. I know there was some panic also today about Rodgers mentioning his knee was swelling a little bit and he got treatment. Seems like more like in-season bumps and bruises. Let's see how he's moving
shit
in the
knocked out of
Minnesota
him.
game. Yeah, apparently, and I should know this better, but the Tottenham field is actually in good shape. It's not Wembley, and it's not going to be as much of an issue, even if it's rain. But I'm always a little panicky. Let's see. Bigger picture. The tape's out from Jets Broncos. I think it's ugly as most expected. I don't think there was a ton of surprises from our chatter and from everything I've seen about what went wrong. I think the offense lacks imagination, lacks strong play calling. I think the offensive line was very out of sync. It wasn't a great day for the Jets tackles. I think Fashion had a couple rough moments. I think Tyron Smith in particular, this is his worst game since being here. And
bad Simpson
it's been a bit of an issue. Bad Simpson game, which they were probably due for.
Right.
Stand by, I think, everything we said about Brees. And, defensively, it really one or two miscommunications really did them in. I also think our guy Damian Woody did a terrific job with his rant on the lack of discipline, which the penalties are just dumb and inexcusable. Penalties happen. The Jets penalties are of a different ilk, I'll say. And then you start looking ahead to this Vikings game where I think this line's going to stay around 2 or 3. I think the look-ahead line had the Jets favorites, and you try not to be a prisoner of the moment. The reality is that the Vikings are a better team than the Jets right now. They're probably the best all-around team in football at the moment through 4 games.
Definitely the best coached.
Yeah, they have a coaching advantage. There's some variance that comes with the London games, right? There's weird. It's a different type of environment. It's a different type of kickoff. I don't think, and we said this on the post-game pod, I don't think the Vikings are winning 15 or 16 games. They are due to lose a game at some point. What I would like to see, and you could start with any like tidbits you think are worth mentioning on the film, and let me know if you think this sounds right for the Vikings. My sense is if you're playing this team, you want to come after Sam Darnold. You want to blitz him. You want to use your corners, particularly Sauce, to try to man up Justin Jefferson periodically. I feel like if you're going to sit back in your standard defense, O'Connell and Darnold, if he's comfortable and has time, will carve you up and he will run around and he will avoid sacks. He's a good athlete. We know that. You want to blitz Sam and have him make a couple of mistakes. Maybe you'll give up a couple big plays, but he'll fumble and he'll throw you one and he'll help set up